Well, hey. Happy Thursday. We're thrilled to have you joining us tonight. I'm Tiu Nab, and beside me, virtually, is my good friend,
Dr.
Dr.
Michael Gross, how are you, everybody? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Really
Thank you for
excited.
joining. Thank you for joining both of us. Michael had such a fascinating topic that we talked about last week that he's so graciously decided to do a part two. So, what we're going to talk about is your emotional life, and I will get to that as soon as I introduce Dr. Michael Gross. Right, Dr. Michael Gross is a professional keynote speaker, energy transformational coach, entrepreneur, and the author of The Spiritual Primer, Applying God's 12 Transformational Laws to Reawaken Your Soul by Reconnecting to God, the True Source, to experience your true source's love, joy, and happiness. He helps you achieve an unlimited life. For over 30 years, Dr. Michael Gross has been a spiritual teacher, multidimensional healer, transformational coach who is exceptionally skilled in all aspects of soul, oversoul, vibrations, frequencies, body, timing, life force energy, and oh, so much more. Dr. Michael Gross holds many degrees, some of which include a doctorate of alternative healing psychology. He's a Reiki master teacher, thought field therapist, certified professional hypnotherapist, and a non-denominational minister. Dr. Michael Gross offers workshops including reconnecting to God, the true source, cellular release, manifestation protocols, energy, multidimensional healing, enlightenment, and many others. He's also an international intuitive consultant for corporations and has traveled over half the world. His clients are in USA, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Asia, and other countries, and now his messages are even heard in the Baltic countries, Sweden, and South Korea. I'm thrilled to pieces to have him with us today. He's recently completed the formation of a 501c3 nonprofit, and I'm hoping that he'll take a little time at the end of this session to go ahead and talk to us about his nonprofit. All his contact information will be in the comments, so I'm thrilled beyond belief to welcome this incredible soul to all of you tonight. Go ahead, Michael. Welcome to us.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I appreciate you here. I was thinking about, well, what could I share in addition to the last message? And what I'd like to share with all of you is, of course, I talk about your emotional life. Right now, all over the world, there's a lot of chaos. And I shall share with you the visions that I've seen that a great divide is coming within the world on this planet. And a lot of it's being fostered by negativity, anxiety, frustration, insecurity, even some of our world leaders. And I've often said that if you tell a lie long enough, everybody will believe you. And that affects our emotions. And I talk about critical thinking. It is so important about critical thinking. And if we talk about our emotional life, part of our emotional life has to do with our world around us, family, friends, relatives. But then there's another part of our emotional life, and that is creates how we think, what we believe in, and the direction we're going in life. And how much time have we stopped to really think, is this really true? I'll mention someone to someone and they'll fact check it right away. And it's like, well, if it's in the computer, it must be true. And when I learned about fact checking, not all of it, some of it or most of it, I don't know what the percentage is some of it is also slanted in a specific way. And it's so important. It's kind of like, is my gas tank half full? Oh, I can drive. I feel safe. Oh my gosh. Critical thinking, emotional thinking. My gas tank's half empty. Oh, am I going to make it home? It's still the same amount of fuel, right? Half full, half empty. But it's how you look at things in your life and how you feel about things in your life. And that's what's so important to us right now. And what we are doing right now is being tested. In our emotional life, we're being asked by our soul and by the true source to make a change in our life. What does that change really involve? And it changes your thinking and your belief system. And we are so influenced by many persons. The old joke, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Social media, opinions people have, they don't even research it. But more importantly, forget about researching it for one moment, which is a great and wonderful thing. And I am an advocate of it. But what do you feel in your heart? What is your emotion in your heart? Does it feel really right? Think about it. You hear something, oh, yeah, that must be true. But when I hear something, I remember that. And then I go, well, maybe it's not true. I got to think about this one. And you don't have to spend days, weeks, or months to research it, because there's a part of you in your emotional health and in your emotional thoughts and bodies that is always seeking the truth. And there's an overwhelming feeling when, aha, yes, that's the real answer. And that comes from deep within the soul. There also is another aha, which comes from your ego. And that part is, well, I knew I was right. Yep, I want to prove everybody, and I know I'm right. Instead of, it feels right. Yes, that's all that's necessary. How many times in your life have you made decisions based on emotions, which has to do with feelings, which has to do with your thoughts, and you ended up with egg on your face? Well, that's because you were listening to your ego. More importantly, everything within our emotional thoughts affect our body. Think about that. So if you're angry or upset, what happens? Your heart goes faster, palpitates, blood pressure rises, you may get angry, you may want to run and hide, or you're stuck in fear, the fight or flight, or frozen syndrome. You may be any one of those things. And this is an opportunity in this year for us to look at our emotional body. And often I have said, what the mind can conceive, the body will believe. And that has a lot to do with our health. In talking to doctors, some of the doctors, if you have an illness, they'll tell you mental health is so important. And that is very important. And then we have to stop and think, okay, well, really, what do I believe in? And that's a very good question. What do you believe in? Well, let's start. You're a human being, correct? And you have a purpose. That's a belief system. And that you have achieved a great deal in your life. Well, stop to think about it. Whatever age you are, 12, 14, 15, younger, 60, 70, 80, look at all the things you've accomplished in your life. More importantly, what did you learn? What was right? What was wrong? What was comfortable? What wasn't? What worked and didn't work? Just think about your grandparents or great grandparents. And you said, boy, there's going to be a rocket ship. What? That's imagination. I remember the old Dick Tracy, because I'm a little older than you, had a watch he talked into and everything. And now they've already had a watch. They tried that in Japan. All these things that seemed impossible are now possible. And we're entering an age now of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is going to come out with some information. Some of it will be true. Some of it is based on the internet. Well, if you base your emotions solely on what you hear, remember Sergeant Friday, nothing but the facts, ma'am, nothing but the facts. Or as President Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. It's so important. More importantly is that you are being asked by your soul to separate yourself from the emotion of this planet, the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, the hate. And that's what's so important. And you're being asked, when the emotions within you, what makes your heart sing? And I'd like all of you, when we're through talking, to ask what makes your heart sing. More importantly, ask what it makes your heart sing that you feel good about yourself. You're having a new car, a lot of money. Yeah, oh boy. But it's fleeting because it's not with you. And just like the pharaohs who took all their gold and treasure when they were buried in the tombs, and they took enough coins to cross the river Styx, and they thought they would come back to their treasures, who really got it? the robbers, the grave robbers, they got all the money. You know that expression, you can't take it with you, but there is one thing you can take with you in your lifetime and all the future lifetimes. And that is the emotion of joy and happiness. And number one, unconditional love. You are at this time all being asked what makes your heart sing and to now be non judgmental and unconditionally loving. To many of you, that will be a challenge. To a very few of you, you will embrace this. And I hope I'm wrong because I hope more of you will embrace it. I issue that challenge. I issue that challenge because I believe when you see the beauty and happiness in everything, you realize how unimportant other things in your life. For example, how often you wake up in the morning and express emotion. It's wonderful to be alive. I thank my life. It's beautiful that I can see the birds or the snow or the rain, or look at your family, your pets, or whatever. Most people wake up in the morning, go to work, are complaining, bitching, and moaning. Oh, I got to get this done, that done. How do I know? Because I've been there. I've been there. Each one of us are an example of one another, and our emotions dictate our life. So go to work and moan and groan. I want to be here, blah, blah. And your day goes kittywampus. Go to work in the morning and feel happy and grateful you have a job. Your day will go smoothly. But apply that to your relationships, your family, your friends, and your relatives. Have you ever noticed that there's so many people that are an expert in your field? They just know everything. And yet if you ask them, they're not really happy. Well, wait a minute. If you know everything, why aren't you happy? Why don't you know about happiness? I remember the one thing they said was great about fishing, and I used to think catching a fish. And they said no. Sitting by the waterside with your pole in the water and just relaxing, going into nothingness and watching Mother Nature around you. That's the beautiful part about fishing. Tia, you wanted to add something.
I do. Thank you, Michael. When you said that about fishing, that my prime example is my father. He worked so hard from the first thing in the morning till late at night. But on weekends, when he could go fishing, he would take his boat and go out there on the lake. And sometimes I was thrilled to be able to go with him. And he would literally sit there with the line in the water and just enjoy a beer and peace and quiet and solitude. And I mean, he loved it. So when you talk about unconditional love, when we start looking at other things, it changes our whole perspective on things, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's not just in this earthly plane. We feel love beyond this one, correct?
That is correct. Yes. What's really important, thank you for bringing that up, is that what are you doing around your life to bring love and joy and happiness instead of pressure and frustration? You know, I was taking a look, spring has sprung, as they say. Oh, I got a lot of work to do in my yard. Oh, all those leaves to finish raking up and all those things. But after I do it, sometimes grouching and sometimes reluctantly, I know that I am creating beauty in the lawn, and I'm creating beauty around my house, and creating beauty for me and for others to feel and admire. Not that I want to have the best lawn in the world. I just want the lawn that suits me. And what are you doing to find that joy and happiness that suits you? There's an old expression. It's called FOMO, F-O-M-O. Never knew what it meant. And someone told me, afraid of missing out. FOMO. How many times are we feeling we have to be there, have to go there, we're going to miss something? Well, you may miss a good time and good companionship. But after you leave, it's gone. What are you afraid of missing out or FOMO around your life right now? We're so busy trying to make everybody happy the most important person to make happy is you. You see, when you're happy, everybody's happy around you. And that's the most important thing we have to learn in our life. Not all the toys, not all the things you communicated, not even all the things you have acquired, but what difference have you made in your life? You all asked to be here. And that emotion of life is so precious. I sat one day thinking about life and thought about reproduction. The little sperm goes into an egg, talk about the zygotes, and this little microscopic turns into a beautiful baby, 6, 7, 8, or 9 pounds. Isn't that a miracle? So special how the body develops it. And it's so amazing. And then it goes through the birth canal, which they call oxytocin, and the bones get soft so the baby can pass through. What a miracle that is. Life is such a miracle, and we've forgotten all about it. Think of that emotion of your parents when you were born, how happy and joyous they were, or your grandparents, and even others. Now, I'm sure there's a few listening that said, oh, listen, my parents didn't want another child, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they did. They did because you wouldn't be here right now. Even though they said it, from the soul level, they wanted to have another beautiful child. And that's what you are. You're beautiful. And you've forgotten that you were made from love, by love, of love, and with love. You've forgotten all that about it. And then you grow up and you learn all these beautiful things about life, pros and cons. And here you are, watching my message to you. My message to you is really the message from the true source, that we have to stop looking over the left shoulder, right shoulder, and think for a minute. What is it that brings me an emotional love and joy and happiness that I can keep and hold on for the rest of my days of my life? Think about that. You're not going to keep a car for the rest of the days of your life. It'll fall apart. Most likely your home, because you bought a home, so that is there for a while. All the toys you have. What is that one emotion that you can find that makes your heart sing, that brings about love and joy and happiness? I would like all of you to think that. And then next week, put it in the chats what that is, because there is no right or wrong answer. The answer is, how do you feel about it? What creates that scintillating feeling of, yes, I'm here, I love my life, I love joy, I love happiness? I look around the world, and there are so many people that I look around the world, and I talk to many of my clients. They're busy taking vacations. That's cool. And going parties and doing smoking and drinking and drugs and whatever else they're doing. I go, why are you doing it? And I asked the true source, and they said, they're all running away from life, Michael. They're looking for that magic pill to find joyous and happiness. And isn't it weird that it's deep within them? Always will be there. And it'll be there to the day that you birth out of your body. So here's my challenge. Find out what that is. And we'll share it on the next time we do a podcast with you. I believe it's so important. I also believe that all of us are a precipice of life, because in the year 2024 and the next few years challenging, 25, 26, 27, it's going to be very challenging. And how you face your challenge is how you're going to enjoy your life. Have you ever heard of phantom pain? I had a very good friend. Unfortunately, he became a double amputee. He was talking to me and he said, Michael, I feel phantom pain. I'm feeling pain in the leg that was removed. I feel it's still there, and it was removed from the knee down. Yet he felt it was there. Why did he feel it? Because you see, on the human plane, it was gone. On the spiritual, energetic plane, his body is still whole. And of course, the naysayers and scientists will debate me. Why would you feel it? Well, it's just your imagination. No. Energetically and spiritually, your whole body is whole and healed and perfect in each and every way. Except you don't believe it. You listen to the scientists or whatever. And you create all these thoughts in your mind because it's scientific. Well, you know what? There are some things that you cannot scientifically prove. I was talking to someone the other day, even today, how do you take two gases, H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, and get a liquid? They tried to come up with some kind of reason. But just look at a superficial value, face value. Two gases equal a liquid. That's weird. Or if you take sodium, which is a mineral that will burst into flames, and you take chloride, chlorine, whatever, it's a poison, liquid, you get table salt, which is what your body needs. These things that scientists try to come up with a reason to explain. You know what the answer is? You decided what your body needed. You created it to help you find love and joy and happiness. I know that we're looking at the time right now. We're going to be running down. I'm going to speak for another 2 or 3 minutes. But I desire all of you to think about what I've said. How do I create emotional life of joy and happiness? Because when you have love and joy and happiness, your body goes, oh, you're happy, you're good. I'm going to help you. I'm going to respond in kind. And you'll live a long, healthy, prosperous, and abundant life. Now I added prosperous and abundant. Abundant means joy and happiness and finances. Prosperous is because you are of joy and happiness. You're letting your soul decide what your needs and desires are. And most importantly, you're not here to suffer, bankrupt, be without, and starve to death. It's you who's creating that. Tia, you wanted to add something?
Could you talk a little bit about the difference between, you could coin it as love or specify unconditional love?
Good point. So let's talk about love. We could say conditional love. If you make me happy, and if you do this for me, and if you behave, and if you buy me this, and if you do that, I'm going to love you. Well, what's the other side of the coin? You don't do it, you're not going to be loved. So it's conditional because they're setting up the specific rules, regulations, and conditions in which you have to become in order to be loved. Unconditional love says compassionately, I love you no matter what you've done. Even if it's horrible, I love you. Can't agree with what you've done, but I'm not going to hate you, because whatever you have done that is, let's say, negative, it's an experience you chose to have to learn positive and negative. More importantly, unconditional love says I'm never going to hold a grudge because I love you for that experience that was painful. I love you for the experience that is joyous and happy. And I understand unconditionally why you did it, why you chose it, and what you came here to accomplish. And I love you for that, even though it may be restrictive in your life. Does that help you, to you? Thank you.
It does. Thank you.
Well, I'm looking at the time. As you see, I'm leaning over, and I'd like to talk about a couple of other things because I'd like to end this on the half hour. Every Tuesday evening from 6:30 p.m. Pacific time to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, I have what is called Soul Awakening. And that is, you call in on freeconferencecall.com, you ask questions. Hopefully I can answer it. And I leave a 10-minute message. And it's so important because you get a new perspective in life. And that allows your critical thinking to examine both sides of what is occurring in your life. Instead of having tunnel vision, your vision is wide open to see, as we would say, both sides of the coin. To access that call, and that is done from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., to you, would you give them that number?
Absolutely. The number is 202-926-1059. And the access code, Michael?
125-446-pound.
It's all in the comments as well, but I'll read the number again. It's 202-926-1059. And the access code, Michael?
125-446-pound. Using the same code, the same telephone number, the second Saturday of every month, I do what is called the Mass Consciousness Healing. It involves Mother Earth and all the inhabitants. It involves you and I. And it's so important to change the consciousness. And that goes from 9:55 a.m. Pacific time to 11:01 Pacific time. So it's actually 1 hour and 6 minutes, I should say. And I will tell you that 99% of the time we stick to that. More importantly, it gives us the opportunity to change the lives of everyone that exists on this planet, but also you will feel this unconditional love. And that's the greatest feeling. No strings attached, and it's very, very healing. Because love heals everything. So to access that is the same telephone number and code for the Soul Awakening. Would you give that one more time?
Absolutely. 202-926-1059. And the code, Michael?
Access code is 125-446-pound. One more, and that is that I call the replay. On the Tuesday night, I deliver a 10 to 12 minute message. And there are 323. And on purpose, they're not listed on their name. Although I didn't realize that at the time was on purpose, but now I realize that. It is because your soul will pick the number. Well, Michael said 3 to 323. I think I'll try 178. And you listen to 178 and you go, wow, that's just what I needed to hear. And when you're stuck in traffic, you're angry, you're upset, you want to throw something, play it. And play a series of them till you calm down. And to access that information, would you please give that to us?
Happily. It's 434-300-4170. And the access code, Michael?
Same one, 125-446-pound.
I'll do that one more time. It's 434-300-4170. And the code, Michael?
125-446-pound. It's really important that you select it. Remember, it starts at number 3 through 323. And one more item I'd like to talk about, and that is the International Institute of Self-Empowerment. It's a nonprofit 501c3, and it's dedicated to helping women find a life of love and joy and independence. And I'll talk more about it, but this is a different slant, a different way of doing it. Because if you take an abused woman or a child or even a man, and you teach them how to find freedom, and they become successful in their life for an entrepreneur, you have changed their lives, and you've changed the lives of the children. And one more note, and that is, I've asked you, Knapp, to be my director of that division. So I wanted to share that with all of you. Again, we have time, or any time during the year. There's information you can leave or give a donation, which we would appreciate it, and the money goes to that. Tio and I are not drawing any money from it. We're just dedicating our time. Thank you, everyone. And one other thing is that the website is still being constructed, but we're down to the end part, so it should be perfect. in the next month or so, or maybe a little earlier, a little later. So I thank you. And the last thing is, we want to talk about this, Healing the Holes in Your Soul. It's a beautiful book written by Tia Knapp. Talks about her life, how she survived, and how she rose out of the ashes like mythological phoenix. It's a must read, it's inspiring, and it will change your life.
Thank you, Michael. However, I highly, highly, highly recommend that everyone starts with this book, The Spiritual Primer, written by Dr. Michael Gross. This is his second edition with even more golden nuggets in it. And I will just say that if it wasn't for this book and this incredible man beside me, the book he's holding would not even be in existence. I wouldn't be on social media doing any kind of a podcast. I would still be hiding in the wallpaper because that's where I used to be. So for that, I am eternally grateful, Michael, for all the things that you've taught me, the things that you've helped me understand, and the fact that I now know the depth and the amazing feeling of unconditional love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody start with this book. And right now you can't even get this on Amazon. And Michael can tell you why. But if you want a signed copy, a personally signed copy, definitely email this gentleman. His contact info is in the comments. And if you can't get there any other way, come through me. Okay? This is purely the greatest gift in the world.
Thank you to you. One of the reasons they've run out, and I haven't shipped new ones, but they have a couple of used books for $295. You know, boy, that's good publicity. You know, it's $31.95, so it's a little better to order from me, which includes shipping and handling and a very powerful spiritual message. I just wanted all of you to know that, and that's the reason. Also, my website is being redone, so it may be down for a short period, but it'll be back greater than ever. Thank you all for joining us. And just realize one thing, that in your emotional life, you can create that joy and happiness. And why wait for tomorrow? Why not do it now? Because remember, you are unlimited. Namaste, everyone. Thank you. Have a great week. And tell everybody, join us and go to not only Facebook, but go to YouTube, Dr. Michael B. Gross, and push subscribe. And for all of you that are new watching this, there's the information that I would offer you, a complimentary consultation. Take care, everyone. Remember, you are unlimited, and we love you.
We love you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.